Hey, welcome back. So today we're going to continue making our game menu. This is going to be part 2 to our main menu. Okay, we're going to pick up where we left off. If you missed the opportunity to get that last time, let's go ahead and kind of talk about where you can go find that. Right here in Putting on the Fritz 3D Visualization is where the first part of this is. It's actually called video number 20, or Making Main Menus Part 1. And the reason why it's video 20 is because this is part of a ongoing series of making your own video game, and so I'm kind of building off of that. Again, if you're just jumping into this for the first time, you can go back, check out some of the other videos if you need to kind of see where my blueprints are. And I will be kind of working on getting those updated a little bit. When I was first recording them, I wasn't using any of the chapters section to be able to kind of break out, so you can go right into a video and find specifically what you're looking for inside the video. But we'll get those fixed over the next few months, all the way through the videos. It's just a time-consuming process, and since this is still the middle of the school year and I'm still teaching, it's kind of hard to get back in and do that right now. But we'll get to it, I promise. Any videos coming forward, though, we'll continue to have those chapters put into them, so it'll make it a little easier to find them. But like I said, this is building off of the blueprints from that game, and I'm trying to show and explain what I'm doing, so maybe you can engineer it into your own game as well. All right, so let's go ahead and put that away and go ahead and jump into the game itself. This is where we left off last time. We had created sort of our main menu right here with my character and some quit, start, and option buttons. I showed you how to do the quit and start buttons. The option and credits buttons, I showed you a blueprint of what they should look like. And if we go up here to the little graph thing on the right, you'll see that that's what I've done. I've gone back in and I've made the options button and the credit button functional. But at this point, other than just going to the widget, they don't really do much, and there is no back button. So if I go to the main menu, which is dark right here, since we have it all set up, we got it all set up last time to be able to, when we hit play, have this actually work for us by creating our own BP main menu GM, okay, for our game mode. And so if I hit the play button, I hover over them, all the little lights should work. I might have to line the buttons up on a couple of them a little better, but otherwise they're working. If I hit the start button, it takes me to the start menu, but there's no back button, and we're going to get all those other menus filled in. We'll do the start button next, which is a little bit more complicated because we're going to get into having an options. So we're going to put it together an options widget, and then, or not an options widget, we're going to put together a selection widget that's going to allow you to set the difficulty of your game. So it's more of a difficulty options section. And then there's also this options button here as well. This one, if we take a look at the game that I've been working on getting all of this stuff put together with, you can see this is what an options is going to look like, but it gets a little bit more complicated because we're also going to have a music slider and an SFX slider to control the volume. So we'll come back to the options button after we get the start button working first, okay? That may not be in this video. This will probably be another another video after this in order to get this going. So maybe a total of 3 videos for this series. I'm trying to keep it to 3. Hopefully we don't spill over to a 4th video. Anyway, so with all of that explained, probably in greater detail than I really needed to get into right now, let me go ahead and close some of this stuff out. Let's go ahead and get started then. What you should have done already is in your widgets folder, you should have already created a credits widget as well as an options widget. And then there's also this difficulty widget, which we had created last week as well, which the start button, when we click that, that's what it takes us to. Right now it's blank. There's nothing in there. So we'll get all that put together. You know what? Let's go ahead and let's finish out this this menu here, okay? The very top menu, this is where the title of our game should be. And I realized I kind of left that off last time. So let's go over here to our palette. And in our palette, we're going to just pull out this text block right here, okay? And what I'm going to do is in the text block, I'm going to go ahead and just make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to call this my title. Okay. And that's going to be my title there. And looking at the text block, we can kind of put it around wherever we want and basically change the font of our various lettering that we want to put in here, right? So let me first pop back over here and hide my head out of the way. All right, there we go. So now this text block, I have a font that I've already selected, and let me go ahead and show where to get the fonts from. Basically, there's some spots on the internet you can kind of chase it down. Let me go ahead and pull that up. So I got it from this site right here called, FontSpace. And so fontspace.com has a lot of free fonts on there, and you can download them. You can find ones, here they say for personal use. There's others that are 100% free. The one I downloaded was Assassin Ninja. Okay. Assassin Ninja was one of the ones that's 100% free, and you can download it. Okay, it'll save to your file. Okay, and then once it goes to your downloads, okay, what you'll have to do is you'll have to unzip it. So I'm going to go ahead and I have a folder that I'm going to open up that has my fonts in it. Okay, right here is my folder. What you'll do is you'll drag it into your fonts folder after you create it, and then it'll drop a bunch of different things in here. And I don't see the one I used. Let me go ahead and drag in Assassin. I thought I already had it in here. Okay, I'm going to right click, and I am going to extract it. Okay, it has two different types. It has a true type font, so TTF, and then it has an OTF or open type font. And Unreal Engine will take both of those. So let me go ahead and move some of this stuff out of the way since we don't need it anymore. What we're going to do in order to get it to work is we're going to go back into our content folder here, and I'm just going to create a folder for my fonts just in case there's more than one font you want to put in here. It's good to keep them all organized. Okay, and it's just as simple as selecting your font. I'm just going to use the true typeface. I'm going to drop it in there. And it's going to ask me if I want to import it. I'm going to say yes, all. Okay, now I have my font in here. So if I go back into my main menu, and if I go to my fonts right here on the right hand side, right now the default one that comes with Unreal Engine is Roboto, but now you can see that I have my other fonts in here as well. And I'm going to put that in there. Right here I can change my color. And I'm going to make it a nice bright red. And right here where it says text, I'm going to go ahead and give it a name. If I can type correctly. Spider attack, spider evasion, something like that. And then we can change our font size. We can just hover over it with a double arrow like that, and we can left mouse click and drag until you get it to the size you want. I'm going to grab this box. I'm going to expand it over the size of my text here and just kind of drop it in there. It's as simple as that. That's pretty much all you need to do to be able to get text in here. You can do other things with text as well. You can put them on top of buttons and it'll become part of the button. I don't believe I'm doing that in this one at all as a demo. So, but just know that there's other things you can do with the fonts as well. If you wanted to basically make a button that had the label on it, kind of like I do here, but these are part of my image because I wanted to go for a certain look. You could put the name here and you can drop it on top of an image or button right here. You can put it on top of a button, and now that text will become part of that button. You can move the button around, the text moves with it, and your name for your button will be right there on top of the right on top of the button, and moving as if it's part of it. Okay, so now we've got that down. Let's go ahead and jump in and go back to our options menu, because that's the one that we're going to use. Not options, I'm sorry, I keep saying that. But go back into our UI, into our widgets, and we're going to open up the difficulty one. This is the one that our start function is directed to. So we take a look at our main menu and go to graph. Right here, my start button goes to my difficulty, okay? And my difficulty is where we're going to set it up to be able to start from. So with my difficulty widget, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an image in here. So I'm going to click and drag an image. Just like before, I'm going to set this to 0, 0. And this is going to be 1920 by 1080 for my background image, okay? And it's going to fill up the whole section there. I am going to change my anchor to full page so that it covers the whole page here. And it'll keep it in the center no matter what when we scale from anchors. What they do is when you go from one screen size to the next, so if you're not working on a 1080, say you go to a tablet or you go to a smaller screen, it's going to adjust your image positions. So all of the things that are on your screen, wherever they're anchored, they're going to hold to that point on your anchor for the screen and scale from that point so that it stays relative to the rest of the things that are on your screen at that same in that same area, okay? I hope that made sense. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to find my background image for that. Again, that's in my textures I created for this. And that's going to be this one right here. I'm going to select it. And then just like before, I'm going to hit the little white arrow here under brush, okay? And that's going to bring up my background. Now what I want to do is I'm going to create another, I'm going to pull another image in here, okay? And this image, I'm going to set it right there. Okay, and I am going to scale it to be 1184 by 60. Let's see here, 674. And the reason is because the image I've created for this is that size. Okay, if I were to take a look at the image here in my main menu, it is, let's see, here's the one that says difficulty buttons. It's this one right here. So if I hover over it, let's see, difficulty buttons, it should be these 4 right there. All right, so I'm going to use those. Now this one was actually set up to be 1920 by 1080 as well. I decided to use an image background with it. But as long as you keep your percentage scale to be about the same, so in other words, my ratio, my width and height ratio to be the same, any image will work, and that's one of the things you got to remember. Otherwise, it'll come out kind of stretched and not looking correct. So I'm going to select that, go back to my difficulty tab, hit the little arrow here, and okay. So this is what it looks like before I had placed the buttons over the top of it. And for this one, I'm going to play around a little bit with the image on the buttons to get them to look like they're not turned on when I put those little graphics for the buttons over the top of them, okay? And we're going to go ahead and do that with the first one here. I'm going to put a button in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and first name these. This one's going to be my background. Okay. This one is my difficulty image. Okay. And the anchors for my difficulty image, I'm going to put this one in the center. So it kind of stays relatively in this area as it scales up or down. Now, I need a button. I'm going to grab a button, throw that in here, and the scale on my button is going to be 95 by 95 because that's the image. I have a square image that I'm going to use. Okay. And I'm going to kind of hover it over here a little bit. And then what I want to do is go find that image. This is my easy button. I made it green, so it was like more easy, I guess. Okay. Select that one. I'm going to hit the arrow button here. I'm going to come down right here where it says draw as. I'm going to change that to image so that it comes out more square. Kind of make sure it fits in the spot where I want it to go into. And then for the tint, I'm actually going to change the tint on it. I'm going to give it a tint to kind of darken it up a little bit. And let's see here. So it doesn't look like it's on. Kind of like that. Okay, so now it looks like it's off. Has a little bit of reflection in it from the surface, but that'll probably work. Okay, now I'm going to say okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit this button here, bring in the green one, the bright green one, leave it the way it is, draw it as an image. Same here. Draw it as an image. Okay. And then the press sound, remember I found a sound that I was going to use, and this is click button. Let's see here. Button high pitched is the one I'm using. And now, so any duplications I make from here will be exactly the same, and all I have to do is just change out the images so that it'll work out just fine. And we can see that real quick. So this is going to be my easy button. Right? And I'll make one more just to demonstrate it. So I'm going to click on it here, Control W will duplicate it. If I click on it, this is going to be my medium button. And I can see that I forgot to change my anchor point. Let me go ahead and kind of get this fed in here a little bit. Use my arrow keys a little bit to help me out. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that real quick. My anchors for these are going to be also in the center. And I'm going to click back on this one just so I don't forget. Change that one. All right, so go back to the medium one. Medium I had made yellow, so I'm going to go back in, find my yellow button, and I'm going to hit that. And since I already have that kind of adjusted, but it looks like I'm going to have to play around with it just a little bit more. I think I need to probably go a little bit more in the gray area with this one. Okay, something like that. Okay, and then, oh, wrong spot. Let's go over here. There we go. Hit the arrow button, and now we've got it yellow. All right, so those are all set up. If we wanted to test this real quick, we're going to compile everything, save it, just to make sure everything's kind of working. Go here, go to our start. We've got a little sound there, and we can see that if we hover over these, they light up. Now they're not going to do anything yet other than make noise because we haven't set them up. All right, so now we've got the first two buttons in there. I'm also going to throw the back button on real quick. It's the same process, so I'm not going to talk through it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and you can kind of watch. All right, so now we've got the back button on there, and I just wanted to do that one because I'm going to demonstrate how to set up our easy and medium. And also, this will come to light as to why we did a couple things we did in the first video, okay? All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and hit the stop button. This little yellow frame around there means we are still playing. So let me go back and make sure I didn't lose anything I just did real quick. No, okay, we're good. I'm going to compile and save everything. All right, so let's go back to the graph. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to select the easy button. So since I'm in the graph, I'm going to select the easy button there, okay? And I'm going to select on click, okay? And on click, we've got our easy button popped in here already, okay? So one thing we need to take care of real quick is we need to go back into our main menu, into our UI, and it's actually back on our content folder in our blueprints. Remember we made in our game mode, we made this game instance, right? So we have this game instance that we created that we're going to store our variables in. And let me make sure I've got the right one here. Yeah, I do. All right, so could have swore I named it something different though, but maybe this is what it was. All right, so our BP wave game instance, I'm going to open that. So when it pops up like that, there's a little blue thing in the middle. I just already clicked it, but the little blue words in the middle to open up our graph like this, okay? And right now there is nothing in here. All we've done is we've made our BP wave game instance last time. And if you've missed that, basically what it is you right click, you go into a blueprint class, okay? And then what you want to do down here is type in game inst, okay? And you'll come up with this choice for a game instance, okay? Now the reason why we're using a game instance is because when you go from one level to the next, the things that occurred in one level are lost unless there's something saving them, okay? So basically when the level is over, it closes, anything that happens, so like variables and settings and such, will disappear. You need something to hold it, and that's what we're going to use this wave game instance for, okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to create a variable to hold our multiplier, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to call this a player multiplier. We're going to click plus right here, and I'm going to call this player multiplier. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and make this a float. So over here in the Boolean, I'm going to make this a float. You can also use integer. In the in my demo one I made, I actually used an integer. So if I ever pop that up over here, you'll see this look like an integer. But because in the game already, in some other spots, I already made this a float. So if you're doing this on your own, you don't have something, then you can certainly, I mean, you don't have a float. If you're using integers, you can certainly use an integer instead. So this player multiplier, I'm going to go ahead and compile right now. And now for this, my player multiplier, I'm going to leave this at 0, okay? Because this is going to be starting out at 0, and then it's going to hold something in it, okay? Hi, future me. One of the things I forgot to mention when we were setting up our player multiplier under our BP wave game instance, so BP wave game instance, the player multiplier variable, it's supposed to have the little I opened up so that it's public. And when it's public, that means it can be seen by other blueprints. I'm going to compile it, save it. Now I'm going to go back to my difficulty here, okay, and my difficulty widget. And the first thing I'm going to do after this is I need to cast to that. Now we could do a single cast and pull that out, but in a one-time event, but I'm just going to go ahead and do this every iteration. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to type in cast to BP, okay, and what I'm looking for is my BP wave game instance, and that's this right here, okay? I want the instance, not the class. You want the instance, okay? And when we do that, we're going to get this. Now, one thing, we need to make sure that we have an object that we are casting from. So we're going to pull out from the object, and we're going to type in get game, okay? And we want the get game instance, the one at the very top, okay? There we go. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to set that multiplier that we just created over here. So this player multiplier, we're going to go ahead and set that. So I'm going to drag out from here, and I'm going to type in set, okay, and we want set player multiplier, all right, and there it is right there. Now, because each time we click on this, we want to actually create what this player multiplier is going to be, I'm not going to use a variable to punch into this. I'm going to hardwire this variable. Not something that's always preferable, but there are times when you are going to do that. And in this case, because every time when we click the easy button, it's going to be this number. When you do the medium button, it's going to be a next number. So for my easy, I'm just going to go ahead and in the game before, we had set it up at 1.5, which gave us 8 enemy every time at the very beginning when it first started. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change it to 2. And that should give us 10 enemy, and that's one way we can test to make sure this is working. You can always change these numbers to whatever you want your difficulty to be later on. Now, other thing to point out is I'm choosing to make my game more difficult by changing the size of the waves at the very beginning and that multiplier. So every time there's an additional wave, this multiplier will be multiplied by the number of enemy that there were last time. So the first time, if this is going to come out at 10, the second wave will be 20. The third wave will be 40. So it'll start to have much more enemies right at the very beginning. And each multiplier that I choose for the medium and the hard will also work the same way with a significantly more enemy popping out at the very beginning. Now, you could certainly use this multiplier and set it up so that you're changing your player's ability to do damage to the enemy. So how much damage is done by, in this case, since it's a shooter game, every time you shoot the enemy one time, how much damage is done to it will change how many times you have to shoot your enemy, making them more difficult. You can also change the way that their health is or how fast they move. I've chosen to change the player, in this case, the number of spiders that spawn for each wave. And of course you can do more than one of these as well. You can use this multiplier across multiple things you want to change, health, amount of damage that can be done, etc. So you could change the complete way the game is played with each one of these clicks, whether it's be the easy, medium, or hard. Okay. So now that I've got all of that said, let's go ahead and do the next thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put in a set input mode. And this is going to be something because later on we're going to implement a pause button. So from here we're going to drag off from the top of the set button, and what I'm going to type in is set input, okay, and this is going to be set input mode game only, okay, and this is because like I said, with the pause button and with the restart button from when the character dies at the end and then you choose to restart the game, you're going to have to reinitiate the controller, because for those menus we've removed the ability of the controller. We've basically what it's done is now it returns it to the mouse working, and we need to make it so that the controller will take back over and possess your character. So with that done, we're going to go ahead and pull off from player controller, and we need to get player controller. Okay, so we're getting player controller. All right, and now we're going to set, let's see here, this is going to be show mouse cursor. So show mouse, and actually probably, all right, yeah, we need to pull off from return value, and we're going to set show mouse cursor, okay? And we're going to go ahead and connect that up. There we go. We're going to put in a little bit of a delay. Now, we're not going to put a check mark in here, right? We are going to turn off. So by not checking the mark in here, we're turning off the mouse cursor. And we're going to put in a delay. And I'm going to just leave it at 0.2. And then from here, we want to open up our first level. So we're going to open level by name. And this is where you're going to type in the exact name of your level. My exact name of my level is level underscore 1. Okay. And if you're not certain what it is, easy way to find out. Let's go ahead and compile this real quick, save it. Go back in, take a look at your content, go to your levels or maps folder, whatever you have, and take a look. And this is exactly what mine is, level underscore 1. Okay. So that's what we want to make sure that is. Okay. Now, the next thing you would do would be something similar for the medium. Now, since we've already got all this set up once, right? I'm going to pull this over here out of the way a little bit. Well, that's way further than I needed to go. And I'm going to just go ahead and select all this. I'm going to hit Control W and duplicate it down here. Select my medium button. On click with my medium button. Okay. And I'm going to put that in here. And now this is everything for my medium button. The only thing I need to do is change my multiplier here from 2. And I think I made my medium 3. So basically every time it's going to be 3 times the amount. So since my initial setup was, I used a number 5 for my number of spiders, is going to multiply that by 3. So my wave will start off with 15. And the next time will be 45 and so on and so forth. Okay. So that'll get that started. So we have the medium and the easy done. The same process will be done for hard. You'll just make the hard button. You can duplicate these and then set them in there. And the last thing we're going to do real quick is we're going to put a back button in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to hit C to comment it. I'm going to call this my easy. Okay. And with it selected, just change this color here. You can leave it alone if you want, but since my easy button is green, I'm just going to make that green. Okay. My medium, comment it. We can straighten these up later. Since my medium button is yellow, we'll make this kind of a yellow color. Okay. You kind of get the idea now. Hard will be the same way. So let's go ahead and do our back button since that's the next one I have on here. I'm going to press click. I'm going to grab that one, give myself some space down here. And the back button is actually pretty simple. For a back button, what we need to do is, the first thing we need to do is we need to remove from parent the previous widget. Remove, and I think we're going to have to type in from. There we go. Remove from parent. Okay. And that's the beginning of it right there. All right, so now what we're going to do is then we're going to create a widget. Okay, create widget. And this widget is going to be our main menu since we want to go backwards. So I'm going to click down, find my widget main menu. And then what I'm going to do is pull out from target. And I'm going to add to viewport. If I type that right. Okay. Add to viewport. Should automatically come connected. Comment this. And I'm just going to leave it gray. And I'm just going to say back button. All right. So now let's go ahead and compile it. Save. Let's go to our main menu and hit play. Select the start button. The easy button. And there we go. Okay, so now what I'm seeing is that when we went back in, okay, remember we went into our project settings. So I'm going to stop that right there. We went into our project settings. Remember we set our maps and modes so that our default mode is our BP game mode, right? And we have no pawn class here. So what that means is that it's gone in and it's changed everything for us, okay? So what I'm going to do is I need to go back to my main menu, go to my file. I'm going to save all first before I lose anything. And then I'm going to go file, open level. And I'm going to open up my level 1. Okay. And right here, see, my default class has disappeared. So what I need to do is I need to put my character back in. And this is my BP Lieutenant Bellica. So now I'm going to go ahead and save. So Don't need to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in, open level, go to my main menu again, save selected. All right, so let's test this again. Play, start, hit my easy button, and there it is. Okay. Now I hit escape. So yours should be working the same way now, right? But we haven't actually implemented this difficulty multiplier yet. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Okay. Like I said, this one is probably going to take us a little bit longer than most because of having to get everything all set up. So I'm going to go to my main menu, and it's actually under my blueprint for my, yeah, it's going to be under my blueprints for my game mode. And do I have that one open already? I do not. Okay, and in my game mode, this is where I handled all the spawning, okay? And if we take a look, right here, we have a difficulty multiplier, okay? Okay, so when we take a look at the difficulty multiplier, we see that right here, it is indeed a float, right? So we've got it set up as a float, and we have it set for 1.5 right here. And what I want to do is make it so that we can change this difficulty multiplier. And this is going to be what we're holding in our game instance right here. So we have our player multiplier, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is back in our BP game mode, we're going to add an additional function, okay? So right here where it says functions, we're going to hit the little plus button, okay? And we're going to call this set difficulty multiplier. Okay, and that's exactly what this little function is going to do for us. Okay, so now what we're going to do is right from here we're going to need to cast, because we're going to need to pull that variable that we set in our wave instance. So we're going to cast to our BP okay, so BP, I don't know why it never comes up when I do that. So anyway, cast to our BP wave game instance, okay, just like before. And then I'm going to pull out from here. And what I want to do is we're going to have to get cast. If I can type. Or get game, I'm sorry, get game, wow. Get game instance, okay, we want to get a game instance just like we did before. And what we're going to do is what we want to get is we want to get player multiplier. Okay, so we're going to get the player multiplier. Okay, we're not setting it, we're using this to set it. And now this difficulty multiplier that's over here, I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to set it. Okay, so I'm going to pull from here, connect that up, connect this node up to there. Okay, we're going to set it. And I'm going to put a return node in here. All right. Which we may not need, but we're going to put that in there. And we go ahead and save it. And now what should happen when I go back to my main menu with all of this set up, we should be setting whatever our difficulty multiplier is going to be. Right now it's set at 1.5, which is what gives us 8. We should end up with 10 this time. That's why I changed my difficulty easy to 2 so that we could check this. Again, you can always go back once you know it's working. So I'm going to go to main menu. I'm going to hit play, start, easy. And if I hit F8 to exit my character, and then I have so much stuff in here. But I should see that I have... Well, I should have had 10 spiders come in, and it is not working, so there is something additional I am missing. So let's go ahead and pause for a second and stop that. Okay, so now we know that it's not actually working yet, and that's because sometimes I get ahead of myself, and you actually have to call a function. We created this function, increase wave difficulty, right? Or set difficulty multiplier right here, okay? But we actually have to tell it to call it, right, in order for it to work. So where we're going to do that is back here in increase wave difficulty. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to pull over this set difficulty multiplier. We're going to pull it in here, and we're going to connect it in here and compile it, save it. Now if we go back in, we hit play, start, easy mode. I'm going to hit F8 and check. We should be getting 10 spiders in here. Okay, and here we go. We've got 10. There's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we know that that's working. Let's go ahead and stop this real quick. We hit play, hit start, check it by hitting our medium. Hit F8 again, F8 on our keyboard to jump on out. And now we should end up with 15 of these popping in, so we should get down to 14. Should stop, so that gives us a total of 15 controllers or 15 spiders down here. All right, so we know that our game mode difficulty is now working. So the next thing we need to do, of course, is for you to add in your hard level, so that I'll let you do that one on your own, but it's pretty much the same thing. You click the add button, just duplicate these. I have mine set at a multiplier of 5 on my other game for hard, but you can certainly decide whatever numbers you want for those on your own. One thing we need to test still is the back button, making sure that works. So if we hit the start, hit back, it goes back to the start button, just the way we wanted it to. All right, so that gets us all set up for our difficulty and actually getting into the game. The next video is going to be setting up our options, okay? And I don't think we did credits yet. Nope, and we'll do those next time real quick as well. So hopefully that answered some of your questions for you. And we got your difficulty menu set up, so your difficulty menu is working. You'll have to set up the hard button still, and you're able to get started and get into your game. The next time we're going to set up, or like I said, we're going to set up the options menu so you can adjust the sounds and use a slider switch. I'll show you how the slider switches work, and you can get those set up. And we're going to use our game instance just a little bit more. We're not going to just use it for just one variable. We're also going to use it to control the variables for our volume, as well as the place where our audio will start, because now we're going to have multiple levels. If you notice, when we hit the main menu here, there is no actual music being played. If you want the music to be played across all levels, and you want the special effects to work across all levels, we'll have to get that set up as well. All right, so next time, that's what we're going to go ahead and cover. If you want to get caught up on any of my past videos on how to make this game, some stuff in Maya, and some other game stuff for Unreal Engine, go ahead and check me out on Putting on the Fritz 3D Visualization. If you liked what you saw, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.